Hey, how's it going everyone? It's your boy Wags here. And you know what we're up to today. We're back with some more Obenseuer, a very unique game where we, a resident of this city, do our best to fix up a run-down tenement building, in the hopes of not only giving these deserving folks a place to call home, but also to bring in an ungodly amount of cash and become the richest man in Obenseuer. If you last recall, we ended the first episode with me getting unfairly arrested, and I basically went home afterwards to sulk in my apartment and call it a night. But I must say, I've been up to quite a lot since, and I've made a ton of progress that I'd love to share with you. However, if you didn't know, I have started uploading behind the scenes gameplay for members, so if that's something you're interested in, all you gotta do is click the join button down below and become a hard-boiled detective, and you can even get your name slapped right at the end of my videos for your thankful support. Or become a curious adventurer and gain access to perks like early access to videos, priority replies, and special photos and updates from yours truly. Right now I've got some Obenseuer gameplay uploaded, as well as me messing around with guns and Shadows of Doubt, so if that's something you'd like to see, you know what to do. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now finally, let's get back to what matters. And that was getting this nasty old building in tip-top shape. I had one goal by the end of this entry, and that was to finally get my first tenant moved in. And no, Malone doesn't count. The man is just a freeloader. Honestly, he's lucky he has a toilet in his place, otherwise I really wouldn't have any use for him. I was starting to make out a WAG sign above my doorway, but as you can see, I was still missing a few letters. This was my place though. It wasn't too shabby, and I had everything I needed for the moment all in this room. And I was also saving up a pretty nice bottle collection for a rainy day. But besides returning bottles, harvesting vegetables, and working at the telemarketing company, I was finding that money was still a major problem. But then I had a realization. I was able to sell everything I scavenged from the apartments, all the rotten furniture and useless crap that was taking up space. In fact, I made so much from just selling stuff that I had Samuel start upgrading those walls for me. Little did I know this would be the beginning of my addiction to selling furniture. And not just any furniture though. Wooden crates. They were simple and easy to build. I just needed planks and nails, and I could sell each one for 468 coins. It was genius. And I actually had enough to go splurge a bit over at the Omar and restock on my canned food. For once in a long time, I felt like I had a hold on things. And then my eyesight started to fail me horribly. I could barely see a foot in front of me, and instead of remaining calm and just letting it pass, I overreacted and immediately ran to the doctor's, spending almost 500 coins just for the doctor to tell me I'm depressed. He wrote me a prescription and I took it to the nearest pharmacy where I had to pay another 50 real dollars. Not sewer coins, real dollars. Another perfect example of how they screw you over here in Obenseuer. I went in for a simple eye checkup and somehow ended up paying for antidepressants. At this point, the walls were finished and I paid Samuel the final amount before checking out the new digs. The whole apartment was renovated with fresh boards for the wall and the ceiling, and I was closing in on all those greedy requirements everyone held. But it was time to go speak to Malone since he wanted to stay updated on all the renovations. In exchange for my work, he told me I could find another job in the off-limits basement I had found previously. All I had to say was, I'm Malone's assistant. The basement tunnels led to a hidden speakeasy underneath the city, and it turns out a man by the name of Fenty runs the whole thing. But Fenty had a problem. He needs a mash delivery from a missing man named Max Masher. I told Fenty not to worry and that I'd help figure out where Masher was, but my train of thought was derailed rather quickly by a mysterious life-size blue duck sitting in the corner. At first I thought it was all the antidepressant meds I had been downing, but once he started asking me about finding his little blue quack, that was where I drew the line. I was hightailing it out of there. A couple days passed and I had enough money for another upgrade, and truthfully I was really tired of using Malone's bathroom, and it was time I dished out enough to get my own. It's bittersweet actually, so much that I used Malone's toilet one last time as a last hoorah type of thing. You get it, I'm sure. And I'm not sure what I was expecting, but once again, this wasn't it. I did what I could and put up a cabinet with some lights, and yeah, this was my new bathroom, I guess. I also had bought a few things from the furniture guy, including the last 2 letters I needed for my WAGs sign, a new dartboard, and a few other things. From there, my next goal was to find Max Masher, who turns out was living on the top floor of Qube, but things were a little complicated. I think Max had maybe been messing with too many mushrooms, because now all he could say was mash, mash, and mash. And unfortunately, he was in no shape to run the mash production anymore, and I was gonna have to return to Fenty and break the news. But what if I could produce the mash? Turns out that's exactly what Fenty had in mind, so I set out and bought a mashing station for the apartment. I didn't have any mashing recipes for the moment, so until I found some, I went back to my day job, building more wooden crates. And I'm not talking about just a few, I was buying bulks of planks and nails. I was showing up bright and early just to be the first customer and buy out all the stock. By the time I'm done, Obenseuer is going to be filled to the brim with wooden crates. With almost a solid 8,000 coins to my name, not only did I start the basement renovation, but I also upgraded the second floor apartment bathroom and kitchen. I was really on the fast track to renting out the first apartment and getting my first tenant in here. But you know how things are here in Obenseuer. Once the highs pass, in come the lows. Somehow I managed to break my can opener that I used to eat pretty much everything. And you would think that I would just be able to go to the Omar and get a new one. And you'd absolutely be right, but I'm an idiot and I totally missed the pair of can openers just hanging from display. I also made the grave mistake of talking to the officer when trying to talk about tenant requirements, because apparently I'm a wanted man. And all I can say is, a choice was given, and a choice was made. No, he's really chasing me! He's really chasing me! How do I get away from him? He's really chasing me! Oh my god! Oh no! No, how do I get away? After I outran the coppers, I found out the basement was done and ready for the final payment. But just my luck, I somehow managed to break my leg after falling 2 feet. And with my health being dangerously low, I had no other option but to pay another visit to the doctors. I paid $80 for a health treatment, which put me desperately behind in cash. So you know what that means. Finally, I was able to pay off the basement as well as the other apartment upgrades I purchased. And this was a big step for the tenement building because with the basement, I could now add things like a workshop, a water supply, heating, even an indoor sauna. And this was around the time I discovered a recipe for some turnip mash, and I had been eager to try and make some, so I set off for the Omar in search of some yeast and turnips. And I finally realized where the can openers were and bought a second pair. Because up to this point, I was just eating apples and carrots every single day. I also treated myself to a sweet bottle of wine because I'm of the opinion you should reward yourself when completing big goals, and I was one step closer to moving in my first tenant. Which, speaking of my first tenant, I was pretty sure I already knew who it was going to be. Meet Ingrid, a mother with 2 kids and a husband, whose only request was that the apartment had heat and the walls were solid. And as you know, we already had the walls upgraded, which meant there was just one more thing to do. But between you and me, this entry hasn't had enough decorating. So with that in mind, I headed to the furniture guy and bought myself a couch, a table and chairs, this cool firefighter painting, and then I went home and cleared literally everything I already had set up so far, so I could redesign the entire apartment. Enjoy. I was really happy with how it turned out afterwards, and even though my room was barely upgraded, I had somehow managed to make this place feel comfortable and lived in. I had my mashing station, a dining room and kitchen, and my bedroom where my most prized possessions lay. Crates upon crates of bottles. I had been trying to make some mash using turnips, yeast, and water, but ultimately I ruined the first batch, and it took me forever to figure out I needed to use an empty container in order to drain the batch. But on my second try, I had a little more luck and successfully created my first mash, which had me thinking, what other recipes can I make? I had some recipes for some delicious sounding beef sandwiches, which was perfect because I had just bought a set of kitchen tools right afterwards. Unfortunately, this would lead me down a spiraling list of events that I now refer to as the beef sandwich scandal. All I wanted was to make myself a beef sandwich. I stopped at Omar and picked up some beef, some bread, and some lettuce, which was everything I needed, but it wasn't that simple. I still had to cook it, and apparently I have the culinary skills of a small toddler, because every single thing I put into that pan turned to ash. I was so desperate to make a beef sandwich that I ran directly back to the store and bought 4 more packs of beef. The first one turned to ash. The second one, ash. The third one, ash. Can you guess what happened to the 4th pack of beef? It turned to ash. Screw renovating the building, why do I keep burning everything I cook? And if that wasn't bad enough, I might have littered in the market square and caught the attention of the police once again. Once the heat died down, I went and exchanged way too many coins for $500 and paid off what I thought was the last upgrade for the time being. Keyword being thought. However, when I returned to Ingrid in hopes of offering her a brand new apartment, apparently it still needed heat. Turns out I need to upgrade the individual apartments themselves with their own heating unit. But you know, this really wasn't that bad of an outcome, because it gave me more time to accomplish what I had been attempting for days now. Make a beef sandwich. I went and picked up even more beef, more bread, and a microwave pizza just in case things went horribly wrong. And they kinda did. I managed to cook 1 piece, and as I happily rushed to make the sandwich, I found the recipe called for 2. And of course, cooking a second piece would prove to be just as difficult. I retreated to the Omar one last time and bought them completely out of their beef stock. And with only 4 packs of beef left, I gave it one last shot. And there it was, the second piece of cooked beef. I never thought it could be so difficult to make a sandwich, but my hard work paid off, especially since it wasn't just 1 sandwich. No, it was 5 beef wheat sandwiches. It was time to pay off the last heating upgrade, and I really mean it this time. The apartment was ready for Ingrid to move in, and a couple days later, I got the notification that her family was all settled. I was excited to see how they were going to decorate the place. Alright, you know what, I don't even want to talk about it. I spent so much time making the apartment spotless, and within hours of them being here, they've managed to turn the place back into a freaking pigsty. I mean, I can't really blame myself. This is what happens when you rent to someone who only wants 2 things. Walls and heat. And to be fair, I was going to be bringing in 1,000 extra coins a day now for rent, so in my eyes, they can do whatever they want with the place until I find someone to replace them with. For now though, I accomplished what I wanted, to finally move my first tenant in. And like always here in Obenseuer, I went through a lot in the process of doing it. For example, I crafted this large rat cage so that way I don't have to keep packing all my rats in my nightstand. Now they all had a home too. And you probably know, I like to end my entries on nice, feel-good moments. And this seemed like a perfect one. Me, my rats, and most importantly, my beef sandwich. Thank you so much for once again joining me on this wacky series here in Obenseuer. As always, liking, commenting, and subscribing helps me out more than you know. And if you want to see behind the scenes gameplay, make sure to click that join button below. I hope you're all having an amazing day. and I will see you all on the next one.